The lottery ticket felt warm in my hands as I stared at the numbers I'd played religiously for the past decade. $7 million. After taxes, it would be enough to finally escape the suffocating grip of my family's expectations. I hadn't told anyone yet, but in a small town like ours, secrets had a way of spreading faster than wildfire. I'm Emma Sullivan, 32, single, and according to my mother, wasting my potential by choosing a career in environmental science over having children. My sister Jessica, 3 years younger, had followed the family script perfectly. Married young, had 3 kids by 25, and never worked a day in her life. She was Mom's golden child, while I was the disappointment who dared to prioritize education and career over starting a family. The winning numbers still glowed on my phone screen: 7, 13, 25, 31, 42, 49. I'd chosen them years ago, marking important dates in my life. The day I got my first microscope, when I published my first research paper, the date I bought my modest house, despite my family's protests about wasting money on property when you're single. My hands trembled as I reached for my coffee. The morning sun streamed through my kitchen window, illuminating the security camera I'd installed last party after Jessica's oldest, Tommy, had accidentally broken my laptop during a family gathering. The footage had proved it was far from accidental, but Mom had dismissed it as kids being kids. The phone rang, making me jump. Mom's name flashed on the screen. I let it go to voicemail, something I'd been doing more frequently lately. Ever since Jessica's husband Mark lost his job 6 months ago, the calls had become more demanding, more guilt-ridden. "Emma, dear, call me back immediately. It's about Jessica's children. We need to discuss your responsibilities as an aunt." I deleted the message without listening to the rest. My responsibilities as an aunt had already cost me thousands in emergency loans that were never repaid. The last time, it was for Tommy's private school tuition. Before that, ballet lessons for the twins, Amy and Lily. Each time, the same guilt trip. Family takes care of family. The doorbell rang, followed by an insistent knocking. Through the security camera feed on my phone, I saw Mom standing there, Jessica beside her, 3 children fidgeting on my porch. Large suitcases stood at their feet. My stomach dropped. This wasn't a casual visit. I opened the door, forcing a smile. "This is unexpected." "We need to talk," Mom announced, pushing past me. Jessica herded her children inside, not meeting my eyes. Tommy, now 10, immediately headed for my home office where I kept my research equipment. The twins, 7 years old, clung to their mother's designer handbag, probably another emergency purchase. "Stop right there, Tommy," I called out. "The office is off limits." "Emma?" Mom scolded. "Don't be so harsh with him. He's just curious about his aunt's work." His curiosity cost me $3,000 in damaged equipment last time. I reminded her, watching Tommy sulk back to the living room. Mom sat on my couch, her perfect posture and pressed clothes a stark contrast to Jessica's disheveled appearance. "We know about the lottery, Emma." My heart stopped. I hadn't even claimed the ticket yet. "What?" "Mrs. Henderson from the convenience store called me this morning," Mom continued. "She saw you checking your ticket yesterday. Said you went white as a sheet and rushed out." Of course, Mrs. Henderson, the town gossip, who'd known Mom since high school. I should have checked the numbers at home. "That's why we're here." Jessica finally spoke, her voice trembling. "Mark's left us. Cleaned out our accounts yesterday. The kids," she broke down crying. Mom wrapped an arm around her younger daughter. Your sister needs you, Emma. Those children need you. $7 million. It's a sign from God that you're meant to help your family. I sat down, my legs weak. Help how exactly? We fought it through, Mom said briskly. You'll buy Jessica a house, nothing too extravagant, just something suitable for the children. Set up college funds, of course, and a monthly allowance for expenses. Jessica can't work. She needs to be there for the kids. And where exactly would I live in this plan? Don't be selfish, Emma, Mom snapped. You have a good job. You can keep renting. The children need stability. I looked at my sister, really looked at her. Designer bag, expensive highlights in her hair, manicured nails, all while supposedly struggling with money. The twins wore matching outfits from a boutique I couldn't afford to shop at, and Tommy's sneakers were the latest release. What happened to the money I lent you for Tommy's tuition? I asked quietly. Jessica shifted uncomfortably. We had other expenses, like your spa weekend last month, the one you posted about on Instagram. The children needed me refreshed and centered. Jessica protested. Motherhood is exhausting. I stood up, walking to my security panel. Before we continue this discussion about my money, let's review something. I pulled up the footage from party, projecting it onto my TV screen. Watch carefully. The video showed Tommy deliberately pouring juice into my laptop while Jessica watched, doing nothing to stop him. Later footage showed them laughing about it in my kitchen, Jessica telling him good job when they thought they were alone. Where did you get that? Jessica gasped. I installed cameras after my laptop mysteriously died. I have lots of interesting footage. Like you teaching the twins how to fake cry to get me to buy them toys. Or you telling them to break things so I'd have to replace them with new ones. Mom stood up, her face flushed. You've been spying on family? How dare you? No, I've been protecting myself from family. And thank God I did, because now you're here trying to take everything I've worked for. We're not taking anything, Mom insisted. We're asking you to do the right thing, to be the aunt these children deserve. The aunt they deserve? I laughed bitterly. You mean the aunt you've taught them to manipulate and steal from? The aunt who's supposed to give up her life, her dreams, her future because Jessica married a man who couldn't keep a job. Mark was just unlucky, Jessica protested. Mark was gambling. I corrected her. Another thing my cameras caught, him bragging about it on my back porch during Easter dinner. But you knew that, didn't you? You knew and kept spending anyway, knowing Mom would pressure me to bail you out. The twins had started crying, but for once, I saw through the performance. They looked to Jessica for approval between sobs, just like they'd done countless times before when putting on a show. Children, go play in the backyard, I said firmly. Adults need to talk. Once they were gone, I turned to my family. Here's what's going to happen. You're going to take those suitcases and leave. Whatever scheme you had planned, moving in, guilting me into giving you my lottery money, it's not happening. You'd abandon your own flesh and blood. Mom's voice rose dramatically. No, I'm refusing to enable any more manipulation. Jessica, you have a degree in business administration that you never used. Time to dust it off and get a job. Mom, you have a 4-bedroom house with plenty of room for them while Jessica gets back on her feet. But the children, Jessica started, will benefit from seeing their mother stand on her own 2 feet, instead of teaching them that manipulation and theft are acceptable family values. I walked to my front door, opening it. I have a meeting with my lawyer this afternoon about claiming my lottery winnings. I suggest you be gone before I call him about pressing charges for the party incident. You wouldn't, Jessica gasped. I pulled out my phone, showing them the video again. Try me. Mom gathered her purse, her movements stiff with anger. You'll regret this, Emma. When you're old and alone. I'll be old and at peace. I finished for her. Unlike now, when I'm young and constantly stressed about what scheme my family will try next. Jessica herded her children back outside, the twins still fake crying on cue. As they loaded their suitcases into Mom's car, I noticed Tommy hanging back. Aunt Emma, he said quietly, I'm sorry about your laptop. Mom said you'd buy me a gaming computer if I broke it. I looked at my nephew, seeing a glimpse of the good kid he could be without the toxic influence. Thank you for being honest, Tommy. That's worth more than any computer. After they drove away, I sat in my quiet house, the lottery ticket secure in my safe. My phone buzzed with messages from Mom, then Jessica, then local relatives who'd somehow already heard about the situation. I blocked them all. Walking to my home office, I looked at the research papers on my desk, studies about environmental conservation, proposals for field projects I'd put off because of family emergencies. $7 million. Not just money, but freedom. Freedom to choose my own path without guilt or manipulation. But first, I had a security system upgrade to schedule. Something told me this wasn't the last attempt my family would make. My phone rang again. My lawyer this time. As I answered, I watched through my security camera as Mom's car circled the block for the third time. Let them plot. Let them scheme. I had truth on my side, documented in high definition. And soon, I'd have 7 million more reasons to stand my ground. The next morning, I woke up to chaos. My sister had launched a full-scale social media assault overnight, complete with tearful videos of the twins asking why Aunt Emma hates us, and carefully crafted posts about family responsibility. Local Facebook groups were buzzing with opinions, most condemning the heartless aunt who wouldn't share her lottery winnings with her struggling family. What they didn't know was that I'd been prepared for this. Opening my laptop, I pulled up a folder labeled Family Documentation. Years of carefully organized evidence of their manipulation tactics. My phone rang. It was my lawyer, David Patterson. Emma, I assume you've seen the social media storm. I have. And I assume you've received the documentation I sent last night. Yes, he replied grimly, including the footage of your sister coaching her children to damage your property for financial gain. That's prosecutable fraud, you know. I don't want to prosecute them. I sighed. I just want them to leave me alone. Well, your timing is perfect. I've scheduled the lottery claim for this afternoon. But Emma, there's something else you should know. Your brother-in-law, Mark, contacted our office this morning. My stomach clenched. What did he want? To warn you, actually. He says Jessica and your mother have been planning this for months. They knew you played the same numbers every week. They've been watching, waiting. He claims that's partly why he left. He couldn't handle the schemes anymore. I remembered Mark's uncomfortable expressions during family gatherings, how he'd started drinking more at events. Can we meet him? He's waiting at my office now. The law office was a 20-minute drive from my house. I took back roads, knowing Mom would be watching my usual route. When I arrived, Mark looked terrible, unshaven, wearing wrinkled clothes, but his eyes were clear. I'm sorry, he said as soon as I walked in. I should have warned you sooner. Start from the beginning, David instructed, recording device ready. Mark ran his hands through his disheveled hair. It started about 6 months ago. Jessica and your mom were having lunch, talking about how your research grant was ending. They knew you'd be looking for new funding. That's when they started monitoring your lottery purchases. The gambling, I began, was their cover story. They knew you'd eventually win. You never missed a week. They needed a reason why we'd suddenly need money. Jessica, he swallowed hard. Jessica maxed out our credit cards deliberately, took out loans she never intended to repay, all to create a crisis you'd have to solve when you won. David was taking notes. And the children. She's been training them. Those crying videos online. They did 20 takes to get them right. Tommy didn't want to do it. He's old enough to understand it's wrong. That's when I knew I had to leave. But you took their money, I pointed out. Mark shook his head. I took my salary from the joint account, the only real money we had. Jessica's been hiding cash for months, preparing for this. Check her mother's garage. There's a safe behind the party decorations. My phone buzzed, a text from my neighbor. Your sister is here with a moving van. Should I call the police? I showed David the message. He immediately picked up his phone. I'm calling Judge Martinez for an emergency restraining order. Mark, we'll need your testimony. You'll have it, Mark promised. And Emma, there's one more thing. Check your sister's phone if you can. She's got a whole chat group planning this. Called it Operation Emma's Money or something similar. Your cousin Diane is in on it too. I thought of Diane, who'd recently been calling about investing in her new business venture. Everything started making horrible sense. We need to move fast, David said. Emma, go home. Document everything. Don't engage with them directly. Mark, let's get your statement formally recorded. When I got home, the moving van was indeed parked in my driveway. Jessica, the twins, and Mom were attempting to carry boxes onto my porch. My security cameras were capturing everything. I pulled up in front of the van, blocking it in, and called the police. Mom, the responding officer said after arriving, they claimed they live here. I pulled up the property deed on my phone. It's my house. I have security footage of them attempting forced entry. And I showed him my phone screen, where Jessica's latest social media post was displayed. Moving into my selfish sister's house to ensure our children get what they deserve. Hashtag family justice, hashtag lottery drama. That's pretty clear evidence of intent, the officer noted. Ladies, you need to leave now or you'll be arrested for attempted breaking and entering. She's my sister, Jessica screeched. Family has rights. Not to other people's property. They don't, the officer replied firmly. As they were forced to retreat, Mom turned to me. Your father would be ashamed of you. Dad died because you and Jessica drained his retirement fund for her first failed business. I shot back. Don't you dare use him against me. That silenced her. The officer escorted them off my property, but I knew this wasn't over. Back inside, I received an email from David with the emergency restraining order attached. Another email contained Mark's sworn statement about the premeditated plan to claim my lottery winnings. My phone buzzed again, a message from an unknown number. It was a screenshot of Jessica's private chat group sent by Mark. Jessica, once she claims it, we move in. She can't throw children out on the street without looking like a monster. Mom, I've already called Pastor Williams. He's ready to counsel her about family duty. Diane, I've got the business proposal ready. We'll tie up her money so fast she won't know what hit her. Jessica, remember, sad children equals public sympathy. I've got their crying scenes recorded and ready to post. I forwarded everything to David. 3 hours later, I stood in the lottery office, claiming my ticket. Cameras flashed as I held the ceremonial check, but I wasn't smiling. I had a different plan. That evening, I sat in David's office with Mark, reviewing documents. The restraining order covers all forms of contact, including social media, David explained. Your sister's posts about you have to come down, or she'll face legal consequences. And the children? I asked. Mark looked pained. I'm filing for full custody, with the evidence of Jessica using them for financial fraud, plus the documented manipulation. I'll help, I said quietly. Not with money, but with proof. Those kids deserve better than being taught that fraud is a family value. My phone lit up with a news alert. Someone had leaked Jessica's private chat logs to the local paper. The story was already trending. Lottery winner's family caught planning elaborate fraud. That wasn't me, Mark said quickly. No, I replied. That was Diane's husband. He just texted me. Apparently, she planned to cut him out of the business scheme. He wasn't happy about that. David smiled for the first time that day. Sometimes justice handles itself. I looked at my phone's security app, watching Mom and Jessica sitting in their car at the end of my street. They'd been there for an hour, probably planning their next move. What do you think they'll try next? I asked. Mark's expression darkened. Knowing Jessica? Something dramatic, very public, probably involving the children. Then we'll be ready, David said. The restraining order includes a 100-yard perimeter. If they break it again, they'll face serious consequences. I thought about Tommy's quiet apology, the twins' coached performances, the years of manipulation that had led to this moment. $7 million hadn't created this situation. It had just brought it into the light. I need to make a statement, I decided, before they control the narrative completely. David nodded. I got a press contact. But Emma, are you sure you want to expose all of this publicly? I looked at the security footage on my phone, at the years of documented manipulation, at the truth that needed to be told. Yes, I said firmly. It's time everyone knew what really happens when family turns toxic. As I left David's office that evening, I saw new posts appearing on social media. But this time, they were different. People who'd witnessed Jessica's manipulation over the years were speaking up. Former classmates, ex-friends, even our old babysitter shared stories of witnessed schemes and coached performances. The truth was coming out, one post at a time. My phone buzzed with a text from Tommy, said from Mark's phone. Dad says we're going to live with him now. Can I still visit you sometimes? I promise not to break anything ever again. Through my tears, I typed back, Of course, buddy. And next time, I'll show you how my microscopes really work. The war wasn't over, but for the first time, I felt like I was winning. The media storm hit faster than anyone expected. By morning, local news vans lined my street, reporters eager to cover what they were calling the lottery family feud. But they weren't getting the story they expected. Instead of the heartless aunt narrative Jessica had tried to create, Mark's testimony and the leaked chat logs painted a very different picture. The security footage I'd released through David showed years of calculated manipulation, including Jessica teaching the twins to fake injuries for insurance claims. I sat in my living room, watching the morning news coverage with David and a crisis management consultant named Maria Torres. Your sister just went live on Facebook, Maria announced, turning her tablet toward me. Jessica appeared on screen, tears perfectly staged, the twins clutching designer teddy bears beside her. My sister has turned my own husband against me, she sobbed. Now she's trying to steal my children too. Interesting choice of words, David muttered, typing on his phone. Considering we just received the court's decision on Mark's emergency custody petition. My phone buzzed. A text from Mark. Got them. Sheriff's deputies are escorting us to my parents' house now. Kids are safe. Maria was already crafting our response. We need to get ahead of Jessica's inevitable meltdown when she finds out about the custody order. As if on cue, we heard screeching tires outside. Through the security cameras, we watched Mom's car pull up, Jessica jumping out before it fully stopped. "You evil witch!" She screamed at my house. "Where are my children?" David was already on the phone, reporting the restraining order violation. I watched through the cameras as Jessica hammered on my door, Mom close behind her. "Emma," Mom's voice carried through the walls. "You've destroyed this family. Over money. Is that what you want?" Maria touched my arm. "Now might be the time for that interview we discussed." I nodded, my voice steady, setting up. 2 hours later, I sat across from Susan Chen, the most respected investigative reporter in our state. The cameras rolled as I laid out everything. The years of financial manipulation, the coached children, the elaborate lottery scheme. "I have to ask," Susan said, "why keep such detailed records all these years?" I pulled out my father's old journal. Because of this, my dad wrote everything down. Every loan, every scheme, every manipulation. He died thinking he'd failed as a provider, never knowing Mom and Jessica had been draining his accounts for years. I promised myself I wouldn't let the same thing happen to me. "Your sister claims you're using your wealth to destroy her family." "No," I said firmly. "I'm using the truth to protect her children. Money didn't create this situation. It just exposed it." The interview was interrupted by commotion outside. Jessica had returned, this time with reinforcements. Through the window, I could see several of our cousins, all holding signs about family duty and children's rights. Susan's cameras kept rolling as police arrived to enforce the restraining order. Jessica's performance was Oscar-worthy, crying about sisterly betrayal while carefully angling herself for the news cameras they had gathered. But then something unexpected happened. Tommy broke away from the group of cousins who had brought him to the protest. Despite Jessica's screams, he ran toward the police. "I want to tell the truth," he shouted. "I want to tell what really happened." What followed was heartbreaking. Tommy, with a child's brutal honesty, described years of being trained to manipulate, of being taught to damage property for gain, of watching his mother coach his sisters in the art of emotional blackmail. "I don't want to lie anymore," he finished, tears running down his face. "I want to live with Dad and be normal." The footage went viral within hours. Jessica's carefully crafted narrative crumbled as more family members came forward. Cousin Diane, facing her own fraud investigation, revealed years of family schemes. Even Mom's sister called into Susan's network with stories of similar manipulation attempts. By evening, I received an unexpected call from Pastor Williams. "Emma," he said gravely, "I owe you an apology. Your mother, she wasn't truthful about the situation. Let me guess, she wanted you to pressure me about family obligations. She suggested that the church might benefit from your lottery winnings in exchange for public support of their position. I'm deeply ashamed that I almost participated in this manipulation." As news of the attempted church manipulation spread, the last pillars of Jessica's support crumbled. Her social media accounts went dark. Mom stopped parking outside my house. The cousins deleted their protest posts. But peace came with its own price. Mark called late that night. "Tommy's having nightmares. The twins too. They're starting to understand what their mother did, how she used them. They need help. I'll pay for therapy, I said immediately. Not because Jessica demanded it, but because those kids deserve a chance to heal. There's something else. Mark hesitated. Your mom. She's been admitted to the hospital. Stress, they're saying. But what? She's asking for you. Says she has something to confess about your dad's death. I sat in silence, remembering Dad's journal, his confused notes about missing money, his final, stressed days. I'll go, I decided, but I'm bringing David and a recording device. The hospital room was dim when I arrived. Mom looked small in the bed, her makeup-free face showing her age. When she saw me, she started crying. Real tears this time. Not the performance variety I'd grown up watching. Your father, she whispered, he knew. At the end, he knew what we'd done to his retirement fund. He left a letter. Jessica and I found it first. He was going to report us for fraud. My hands gripped the chair. What did you do? We destroyed it. He died thinking no one knew the truth. That no one would ever know. David, standing quietly in the corner, stepped forward. Mrs. Sullivan, are you confessing to destroying evidence of financial fraud? Mom's eyes widened as she realized her mistake. I was confused. The medication. Nice try, I said quietly, standing up. But we both know you're not on any medication yet. You just admitted to covering up financial fraud that contributed to Dad's stress before his heart attack. I'm sure the police will be interested. You'd send your own mother to jail, she gasped. No, Mom. Your own actions might send you to jail. I'm just done covering them up. As I left the hospital, my phone buzzed with a message from Tommy. Dad says you're coming to my science fair next week. Is it true? I smiled, replying, wouldn't miss it. I hear you're doing a project on forensic evidence. Yeah, Dad says sometimes the truth needs proof. Like your cameras. Out in the parking lot, I looked up at the hospital window where Mom was probably already planning her next manipulation. But for the first time, I felt no guilt. No obligation to play along. The lottery money hadn't just bought me financial freedom. It had bought me the strength to break free from years of emotional manipulation. My phone buzzed again. Susan Chin wanted a follow-up interview, this time about financial abuse in families. The custody hearing was scheduled for next week. Dad's old journal was being reviewed by fraud investigators. The truth was expensive. It had cost me my relationship with half my family. But as I drove home, past the empty spot where Mom's car used to keep vigil, I knew it was worth every penny. Sometimes the biggest win isn't the lottery at all. It's finally being free to live your own truth. 6 months after winning the lottery, I stood in my lab at the new environmental research center I'd founded, watching Tommy demonstrate his latest science project to his sisters. The twins, now in therapy and living full-time with Mark, were slowly learning to be children rather than performers. See, Tommy explained, pointing to his microscope. That's how Aunt Emma proved Mom was writing fake checks. The ink has special markers. The transformation in the children had been remarkable. Without Jessica's influence, the twins stopped their coached crying fits. Tommy's grades improved dramatically. Even their relationship with me had healed, built on truth rather than manipulation. The legal aftermath of our family drama had been severe but necessary. Jessica faced charges for multiple counts of fraud, including the insurance scams she'd orchestrated using the children. Mom avoided jail time for her role in Dad's financial fraud cover-up only by agreeing to extensive psychiatric treatment and financial monitoring. The $7 million had been both a curse and a blessing. While it exposed the toxic patterns in my family, it also gave me the means to help break them. The Environmental Research Center provided legitimate jobs for several cousins who had previously participated in family schemes. Mark received support to start a small accounting firm, ensuring financial stability for the children. My phone buzzed. A text from David. Judge signed off on the final custody arrangement. Jessica gets supervised visits only. The news brought mixed emotions. Despite everything, Jessica was still my sister. But watching her children thrive without her manipulation confirmed we'd made the right choice. Aunt Emmy, the more outspoken twin, tugged at my lab coat. Can we tell you something? Of course, sweetie. We're sorry we pretended to cry to get things. Mom said it was like acting in a movie, but it wasn't right, was it? I knelt down to her level. No, it wasn't right. But you know what is right? Being honest about your feelings, like you're doing now. Lily, the quieter twin, joined us. Our therapist says we don't have to pretend anymore to be loved. The security camera in my lab blinked silently, a habit I couldn't break, even now. But its purpose had changed. Instead of documenting manipulation, it now captured moments of healing and growth. Pastor Williams had turned our family story into a sermon series about financial abuse and manipulation in families. The community, initially divided over the lottery drama, united in supporting the children's recovery. Even some of Mom's staunchest defenders eventually acknowledged the years of manipulation. My lottery winnings went exactly where I'd always planned: environmental research, education, and securing a healthy future for Tommy and the twins. Not because of family obligation, but because breaking toxic cycles requires both truth and opportunity. Last week, I received a letter from Jessica, written from the mandatory counseling program she'd entered after her fraud conviction. I finally understand what I did to my children, to you, to our family. Money wasn't the problem. It was the lies we built our lives around. I don't expect forgiveness, but I hope someday my children will know I'm trying to change. Mom remained in treatment, slowly confronting her role in enabling and encouraging years of manipulation. Dad's journal had been published as part of a financial abuse awareness campaign, his confused notes serving as a warning to others. The security cameras still record, but they capture different scenes now. Tommy teaching his sisters about science, Mark building a healthy new life for his children, cousin Diane working legitimately at the research center. Yesterday, I received an unexpected call from the Lottery Commission. They wanted to do a follow-up story about how winning affects families. I agreed, but not to tell a story about money. Instead, I'll tell a story about truth. How it costs everything but frees you completely. Tommy's voice interrupted my thoughts. Aunt Emma, look what happens when we add this compound. I turned to my nephew, now passionate about science instead of schemes, and smiled. The lottery hadn't just made me a millionaire, it had made me free. Free to build something real, something true, something that would last longer than any manipulation ever could. The security camera blinked, recording this moment of genuine joy. No performances, no schemes, no manipulation, just a family healing, one truth at a time. $7 million bought many things, but the most valuable was the courage to break free from toxic patterns and build something authentic in their place. Sometimes the biggest lottery win isn't about the money at all. It's about finally having the strength to live in truth, no matter what it costs.